They went to sea when the world did not yet know the word ocean as we know it today. The water was not blue but black, like the silk of the night. The wind carried the scent of unknown lands, and the sails stretched to the horizon like hands to a promised miracle. At the beginning of the 15th century, China was the master of the seas. The Yongle emperor created a fleet that had no equal, hundreds of ships, some of which were 4 times larger than the caravels on which Columbus would discover America many decades later. These ships, junks and huge treasure ships, were like cities on the water. They carried silk, porcelain, tea, and most importantly, the power and wealth of the Celestial Empire. And the commander of this fleet was a man whose name will forever go down in history, Admiral Zheng. He, eunuch, diplomat, warrior, navigator. He led a fleet to lands that were almost unknown in China, established trade relations, brought curiosities to China, and, as they say, even live giraffes as a gift to the emperor. But on one of the expeditions, amid the glitter of gold and silk, amid the rustle of sails and the roar of the ocean, something happened that chronicles speak sparingly about, and legends speak too boldly about. Part of the fleet disappeared, without a trace. No debris, no bodies, no news. The ships that went west never returned. Were they wrecked by a storm? Were they swallowed up by the bottomless depths of the Indian Ocean? Or did they find something they weren't supposed to know about and disappear by someone else's will? Many believe that these ships reached the shores of Africa or even America long before Columbus. Others whisper about mystical islands that are not on the maps. Others say that the crews found themselves in a white silence, a zone where the sea seems to freeze and time stops flowing. Today we will try to follow their path, but I warn you, in this story, facts go hand in hand with legends, and sometimes they are so intertwined that one cannot be separated from the other. At the beginning of the 15th century, the Celestial Empire was experiencing a period of prosperity. Emperor Yongle, the third ruler of the Ming dynasty, decided to show the world the greatness of China. But he understood that power is not only an army on land. True power is in the seas, where the waves can bring riches or troubles, and ships can become the empire's envoys. For this purpose, a grand project was created, the Ma Treasure Fleet. By the standards of the time, it was a marvel of engineering. The largest ships were over 120 meters long and 50 meters wide. Their multi-layered hulls, reinforced with iron brackets, could withstand the blows of waves that broke European caravels. On the decks were dozens of sails. Under them were hundreds of sailors, soldiers, artisans, and scientists. The fleet was a floating city, a symbol not only of trade, but also of the power of the Ming dynasty. Zheng took charge of the fleet. He is a native of Yunnan province, once a boy named Ma He. His childhood was cut short by war. He was captured by Ming troops and castrated. Fate brought him to the palace, where he became a confidant of Prince Zhu Di, the future Emperor Yongle. Zheng, who was an exceptionally intelligent man, a diplomatic talent, and an iron will. He spoke several languages, knew how to negotiate, and command people. For Yongle, he was the ideal guide to the world outside China. Between 1405 and 1433, Zheng made 7 grand expeditions. His fleet visited the lands of today's Vietnam, Indonesia, India, Persia, Arabia, and East Africa. They brought back to China not only rare goods, but also gifts that struck the imagination. Pearls, precious stones, exotic animals. One day a giraffe was brought to Nanjing. For the Chinese, it was an almost mythical creature, which they called Qilin, associating it with a harbinger of prosperity. But behind the parade of diplomacy and trade, there was another side, a show of force. The fleet could intervene in conflicts, punish pirates, overthrow rebellious rulers. In every port, the appearance of Zheng He was an event that left its mark for decades. In 1431, the 7th and final expedition began. Its route was to repeat some of the previous ones, but the main goal was to strengthen ties with the states of the Indian Ocean. The fleet was again divided into several groups. Some ships went to the shores of Africa, others to Arabia and India. Some ships were supposed to deliver gifts in return, but at some point, communication with one of the squadrons was lost. The chronicles are sparse, They only mentioned that several ships did not return, and the news of them was lost in the waves. Officially, a storm. But here begins what historians call the dark zone, the area where facts meet legends. According to one version, the ships were caught in a powerful cyclone, which scattered them like chips. The Indian Ocean is known for its sudden and violent storms, but the strange thing is that no debris or traces of cargo were found. Some modern researchers believe that the ships, carried by currents, could have reached the east coast of Africa or even South America. In support of this version, they cite finds. Chinese coins and porcelain found in places where Zheng's fleet officially sailed. He didn't come in. It is believed that one of the squadrons made contact with a foreign power, possibly Arab merchants, and was captured. However, there is no written evidence, only fragmentary oral traditions in coastal villages. Sailors in the Indian Ocean have for centuries told tales of zones where the wind disappears, the sea turns milky white, and sound seems to be muffled. Once there, ships can drift for weeks before disappearing without a trace. For superstitious sailors, it is a gateway to another world. It is believed that the admiral died during his last campaign. According to some sources, from illness, according to others, at sea, on board his flagship. The body, as the legend goes, was lowered into the waves, giving it to the ocean, which became his home. After his death and the disappearance of part of the fleet, China changed its maritime policy drastically. The emperor and his courtiers came to the conclusion that huge sea voyages were too expensive and dangerous. The construction of large ships ceased, and after a few decades, ocean voyages almost disappeared. It was as if fate itself had closed this page. In coastal villages in Africa, there are old legends about people from the east who came on huge ships and went out to sea, leaving some of their belongings behind. On the islands of Indonesia, they show ship fragments that the locals consider Chinese. And in China, they sometimes say that somewhere, in the depths of the ocean, at night you can hear the beating of drums and the ringing of bells, the sounds with which Zheng's fleet he was giving signals. This is the emperor's ghost fleet, still sailing on its final course. The sea keeps secrets better than the land. It swallows cities, ships, people, and is in no hurry to return them. The fate of that Zheng squadron. He is one of those secrets. Perhaps they drowned in a storm, and their bones rest on the bottom of the Indian Ocean among the corals and silent fish. Or perhaps their journey continued, to lands where Chinese maps had not yet extended, to shores that no one in the Celestial Empire could then imagine. What if they really found what they were looking for? A place that only the emperor and the admiral knew about. And if they did, why didn't they go back? Maybe it was land that couldn't be set upon twice, or maybe they're still there. The world loves simple explanations. But the ocean is not the world. It can remain silent for centuries, leaving us with only fragments of stories, mysterious finds, and strange coincidences. And when we look at the horizon, we see only the surface. But underneath are entire pages torn from the annals of humanity. If this story made you think, please support our channel. Your subscription is not just a number. It is our opportunity to continue to open up the pages of history that are hidden in the shadows. Like this to let us know you want more stories like this. Comment below. What do you think happened to Zheng's squadron? Huh? Do you believe that they could have reached America long before Columbus? Or are you inclined to mystical versions, where the ocean takes away those who have gone too far? Every word you say helps us find and tell stories that won't be found in textbooks. And the next one is just over the horizon. See you in the next episode. And remember, the ocean never forgets.